makes a lot more sense for me to start with the deputy. He has the burden to establish to me why you were issued these citations in the first place. But then after that, you'll have an opportunity to either ask questions or testify on your own behalf. All right?
Okay.
And with that, Deputy, you want to pick up the narrative somewhere it makes sense? Explain the issuing of this citation.
Conducting routine patrol in Watson Township. I was traveling westbound on 116th Avenue. I observed the defendant's vehicle driving directly ahead of me. While driving behind that vehicle, I paced it at 58 miles per hour for approximately 3 miles. Upon activation of my emergency lights, the vehicle continued driving for approximately a quarter mile before turning left onto 19th Street and coming to a stop. At that point, I made contact with the defendant, explained the reason of the stop, and issued the citation.
All right, Mr. Webb, what is it you wish to tell me?
I guess I'll just tell my story. I was on my way back from school because I forgot that it was spring break. When I got onto 222, I saw Mr. Kibbe sitting in like the little construction area across from the gas station. That's when I decided to flip him off. This obviously made Mr. Kibbe upset, prompting him to pull out behind me and begin following me for a few miles until I reached a downslope. I had my cruise control set at 57. So as soon as I hit the bottom of that downslope, my car accelerated a little bit, supposedly 1 mile an hour. And this is when Mr. Kibbe turned on his lights, and it was very obvious that he was targeting me. So I instantly, right away, started slowing down and decided that turning off to the left was going to be my best case scenario because it was going to put Officer Kibbe out of the main road, which I know is one of the leading causes of death for officers.
Deputy, what is the speed limit on this road?
55 miles per hour.
All right. So the too fast for conditions is the 58?
Correct.
And the failure to yield to emergency vehicle is the driving for a quarter mile before he pulled over?
Correct. Your Honor, my understanding of the failing to yield for an emergency vehicle moving is that they have to pull immediately to the parallel to the road they're currently on. And in the event that I was heading to an emergency, he would have been impeding me by turning left across both lanes where I couldn't pass him.
Okay. Gentlemen, Mr. Webb, you know how dumb it is to needlessly upset law enforcement, right?
Yes, I know that.
Because they have certain powers that they can exercise over your life and make your life difficult. It was a dumb thing to do.
Yes, and I have stopped since then.
All right. Here's the problem. Violation of basic speed law, too fast for conditions, is essentially, that's the wrong citation. You could have wrote him a citation for 1 to 5 over, and that's what he'd be looking at. But the violation of basic speed law is essentially when you have a slide off or something like that, you were going too fast for conditions. And that having the accident is the prima facie evidence that you should have been driving slower to sort of, avoid that happening, as opposed to just essentially a speeding ticket, meaning nothing happened with your vehicle, but a moving violation that you were in fact going faster than posted speed limit. So this could have been a faster than posted speed limit ticket, but the way it's written, a violation of basic speed law, we reserve that for a failure to maintain to your vehicle to stop a clear and assured distance before you hit something else or before you leave the roadway. The other problem is the failure to yield to emergency vehicle is this. Once an officer is trying to pull you over and it's obvious to you or reasonable to an objective person that the officer is trying to pull them over, i.e. lights and sirens, and there's nobody else but you.
So this guy is on his way home from school, realizes it's spring break, sees the deputy sitting nearby, and decides, for absolutely no strategic reason, to flip him off. Loudly crying face the deputy pulls out behind him immediately. And now we're in court. Moral of the story. Some gestures are way more expensive than therapy.
You know that they're trying to pull you over. The issue with that is you do have the right to. Now, I'll tell you right now, if you just speed up and drive away, this turns very quickly into what's called fleeing and eluding, which is a felony crime, right? But if the officer's trying to pull you over, you are able to drive to a place that you feel is more conducive to a safe stop. A lot of times what that means, gentlemen, I'm just explaining to you this so you understand this. A lot of time what that means is, oh, it was late at night, it's a country road in the middle of nowhere, and I know there's a gas station, a quarter mile up the road, so I, put my blinkers on, or I drove 35 miles an hour, but I drove all the way to the gas station because I'd rather have this interaction take place in the lighted parking lot, or something like what Mr. Webb is explaining, that 222 is a lot busier than, say, pulling off to a lesser used road. So provided the fact that you own...
The judge doesn't even hesitate. He looks at Mr. Webb and basically says, you know how dumb it is to upset law enforcement, right? Skull. That courtroom got real quiet. The judge explains that officers have certain powers that can absolutely make your life harder. Lesson delivered. No sugarcoating. Just pure
only went a quarter mile is the sort of saving grace here, and that you did pull over. But the way that you explained it, there is what I would say a grace period there for pulling over, as long as what you're doing is pulling over to what you consider to be a safer, either for you or for the officer. The way you articulated it, really, you articulated it for the officer, but it's allowed to be for your safety. But that is not necessarily what this statute, failure to yield to emergency vehicle, is written for. That would be essentially, more often what that is not listening to the officer, not a delay in listening to the officer. The delay of listening to officer is a little more subjective, i.e. I get to listen to it, but it's my interpretation here, or my understanding, that you drove at the speeds you were normally driving to go a quarter mile down the road, turn left, and then pull over.
Plot twist. After breaking down the law piece by piece, the judge basically says, these tickets were written wrong. The speeding charge? Wrong statute. The failure to yield? Doesn't quite fit either. And just like that. Not responsible. Flushed face. The guy who flipped off a cop just walked out without paying a dime. Courtroom twist ending unlocked.